Gosh,
All
too
right,
bad we can't go on my Facebook Live. I have
Now
so many views.
Now we are streaming. Thank you.
Are we streaming?
We are finally streaming. We're going live in 7 seconds.
This
You
is
guys
the
are
story of
troopers.
my life.
Yes.
Story of my life.
I mean, we're fine. You got this.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, thank you for your patience, which I must say has zero to do with our guests today. And it's all about just being one of those days. We've had them in the salons. We've had them in our lives where with all the best laid plans, just a lot of things go wrong. So we generally start right on the dot, and we are appreciative to all of you who have hung around and waited for this live, incredible show we're doing today. First of all, Creative Conversations kicked off 2 weeks ago to announce the NAHA finalists. Thank you and congratulations to our guests last 2 weeks ago, and to all of you who received nominations. There are so many, but just as important to me, to the hundreds and hundreds and into the thousands who participated, who entered, because you are really what makes NAHA. And we're so happy that you got involved, and we look forward to seeing you every year and watching you grow. Speaking of 2 weeks ago, we kicked it off with Vernon Francois, who is just such an incredible guest, a new committee member to NAHA. I mean, the clients, Lupita, Zendaya, Serena, all the divas who need one name, they're in his speed dial, who he is working with weekly, if not monthly. And so that's a good one. If you missed it, go to probeauty.org/NAHA. Check that out. Watch all of the creative conversations, because at probeauty.org/NAHA, we always include all the little nuggets of what they included, whether it's a resource for how to get materials or whether it's an image and so forth. So we always upload that into it. We're trying to get everyone involved with NAHA and help to grow the creativity. Creative conversations are so important, but also the newest version of live education is important too. So make sure you look for ISSE. Yes, it's still happening. And I know you're thinking your feed on Instagram is like, wait a minute, that was exactly a year ago today. I was thinking the same thing. And then I flew off to Hawaii. It's going to be March 14th through 16th. It's virtual, completely safe, and completely ridiculously chock full of talent. So many artists are going to be there. I'm going to be there, not blowing. I'm going to be there with Living Proof. We're going to do some incredible stuff. So we will see you there the 14th through 16th. Also, NAHA will not be at ISSE this year, but will return the following year to ISSE. This year, it's at Cosmoprof. Same bat channel. My Siri's going to jump in and talk to me. That's always fun. Same batch. So we're going to be on August 29th. That's a Sunday at Cosmoprof Mandalay Bay. So grab your girls and grab your friends. Book your hotels soon, and tickets on sale this spring. So, and make sure, just in case things do get worse, make sure you check with the hotel of what kind of promotions they have, and also if they're going to let you change it should plans change. The next creative conversation that I promise we'll get to our incredible guest is Francesca Revetti, who is again nominated for her cool avant-garde work. She's going to talk to us about the avant-garde category. That is February 24th. That will be our next creative conversation. Remember, everything, probeauty.org/NAHA, and to catch ISSE and all the incredible artists involved, probeauty.org/ISSE. Our guest today, I've done a little bit of research on her. You all know her. I love this statement about her. Inclusion strategist, award-winning hairstylist, and world-class educator. And if you've ever had the privilege of watching her work and watching her teach, it's quite amazing. Freelance editorial stylist, reality television personality, and yes, I'm going to ask about that, and NAHA winner, because we are all about NAHA winner. all of this began really with her formal training at Aveda. And we know Aveda does incredible things where, you know, someone you might have heard, Horst Reckelbacher, actually personally asked her to be on their team traveling around the world. And that was just a start. She is now the proud owner of the SuiteSpot Salon and Spa. She is behind the scenes on runway shows and editorial. The reality show I'm talking about is Hello, Sheer Genius, season 3. You know, I think she should have gotten further in the process. And she's a behind the chair stylist, of course, but this incredible editorial work on campaigns for Target, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom. The woman is everywhere. Please help me welcome to the show, Faatemah. Thank you, Faatemah, for being here for our creative conversations. Hi.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you, Michael, for that wonderful introduction, by the way.
I appreciate you as well. And I know you're a wonderful woman and you don't just sit around the house and drink, but maybe we could have a little toast just for this special occasion.
Okay, so I have a thing where I don't drink because my mom is a minister. I don't drink like on camera, but for you tonight, because we had such a hard time going live. Actually, I have water all over my floor from my, it's empty. I just want to tell the world, like, see what we do for you guys. So we had quite a night. So cheers, Michael. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And all right.
The night has just beginning.
It is just beginning.
All right. Speaking of beginnings, and thank you so much for being here. I'd like to start at the beginning. I'd like to know, because I've learned so many cool things about our incredible NAHA artists. It's nearly been a year now since we've been doing creative conversations. Did you always know you wanted to be a stylist? And when did that begin for you? For me, combing Nana's hair, 5 years old, putting nail polish all over her nails and her knuckles. Right? She's like, oh, that's sweet, Shaun, but you got it on my knuckles. When did it start for you?
I didn't know I was always going to be a hairstylist. I can tell you vivid imagery of like the first time I ever remember learning how to braid. It was on a porch in Mississippi, and I was probably 4 years old, and it was a cousin that was showing me how to like take 3 strands and make a plait. And then from there, I could fast forward to being in high school. And my sister was a natural hair specialist. I don't know who taught her, but she knew how to do braids and dreads and all these natural hairstylings. And when it's a part of just who you are and your family culture, you don't think of it as a trade or a job. It just is what it is. It's like someone teaching you how to make the family spaghetti. And so I learned how to do those things, and I did them always on the side. And I was actively pursuing getting my degree at the University of Minnesota. And just as life would have it, things kind of interrupted the success of that. I had a child. I was a single parent. And I had a client that was one of my braiding clients say, you know, you should just go to the Aveda Institute. And I had never heard of the Aveda Institute. And I went and checked it out. And that one singular decision to leave traditional education and go into cosmetology would forever and thankfully changed my life. So no, I didn't dream of being a stylist. I thought I was going to be, I've been saying I was going to be famous since I was 4 years old, according to my brother, who's not here. But I thought I was going to be a famous singer, a poet, a writer, an artist. I paint, I do all these things. And what I figured out is that hair is just another expression of my art. And so people find different ways to express what they're feeling. And I found a way to do that through the fabric of hair.
I love that. And so, I mean, Horst, so you actually got to meet the man. I'm a guy in California. I didn't have the privilege of growing up so close to the epicenter of all things Horst. I would sit in my salon and do my Namyoho Rengekyos and wish I could afford a hydro tank to float in. But like, what was it like? What was it like to be on that team?
It's interesting. And it's like my sister teaching me how to do hair. It just feels like, you know, when it feels like it's your family, it doesn't feel like it's this legend. It's just this God, right?
Yeah.
I remember like being jealous of reading stories about people that knew Paul Mitchell and that knew Vidal Sassoon. but I realize now how blessed I am to have known Horace the man personally. One thing that I have never shared with anyone is that Horace never tried to teach me how to do anything. He just let me be. He just let me, he thought he was quite fascinated with just my unobstructed approach to hair because I was not formally trained, and he loved the rawness. And he never tried to edit me. And I think that that's really interesting. And Orbay, I don't speak of him often, but he was also another great mentor and a dear friend of mine. And when I trained with Orbay, I was like, what can I do better? And he was like, just do that. Just do what you're doing. And listen to what guides you. And I wanted like some formal for them to say, nope, do less of this, pull back on this. Neither one of them ever tried to edit me. That sounds beautiful, but the world that I went into in beauty, which is really competitive and intense and whatever, you know, it sounds beautiful, but I was looking for edits because everywhere I went, people were telling me to be something else. But I've just returned to that simplicity of just being me unedited, because that is the most raw and valuable essence of who I am. And I think that that is the greatest contribution that I can make, you know? So I went through this phase of trying to edit myself because my mentors didn't edit me. But when I did that, I don't think that I was as bright. I don't think I was as brilliant. And so you're going to get the unedited version of me tonight. So
I love it. And thank you for sharing that first on Creative Conversations. Like that's so special. And I can tell we're going to get deep on things tonight. I mean, after all, what you're nominated for this year is incredibly special. It's a first time. We're going to get there in a minute. Yeah. I read a quote from you that I really just went, wow. And I'm going to say the quote, and then I want you to say what that means to you. Hair is a fabric, not a race. Hair is a fabric, not a race.
I think I can tell you the year that I said that, I've had the great luxury or pleasure or whatever you want to call it, great fortune of being able to be not only winning NAHA before, but being nominated several times. And after that nomination and after being on the television show on Bravo, all of a sudden overnight, you know, I was a success. And so people were booking me for education and wanting me to do all these things. And I quickly realized that everyone wanted to talk about hair as if it were attached to a race. And I have 3 children. I am now divorced, but my ex-husband is Syrian and African-American. So I consider our family, my children are not biracial. You know, we have all these terms to categorize and to put people into all these boxes. And so my children are not biracial. I consider them to be polyethnic. And I also consider hair to be this polyethnic fiber or fabric. And so we look at things so much in this culture as black and white. And I really wanted to eliminate that conversation about hair being black or white, because what about all the things in between? It's like, what if we just talked about hair color as black or blonde? What about all the shades in between, right? And all the things that happen when those tones are mixed and blended and they make all these beautiful, cool, warm, like, you know, things. And so I was telling my sister, who was my manager at the time, we were doing a class called Trending with Texture at NAHA, and it was about 10 years ago. And I said, I just don't want to talk about hair as a race anymore. I want to talk about hair as a fabric. And so I came up with every year as a business, I would come up with a kind of a mantra that I would live by, and I would create my content by that. And I created hair as a fabric, not a race. And all stylists are tailors. And so we need to approach that as if it's a garment and it needs to be tailor-made for the client. And that's exactly how we should approach it. We should stop trying to look at hair to be so literal. And one of the things that I always tried to communicate in that class is that we wanted to take people that didn't look like they should have the hair that they had. You know, a little redheaded girl with the spirals as tight as my daughter's hair, or an African-American woman with bone straight hair. And we found all of those people. But you know what's interesting is that people still to this day try to categorized that specific class that I still teach to this day. It has now become, in the eyes of public opinion, a textured class, meaning a Black class. And I really want for stylists to understand that texture is not a race, it's a fabric. Texture is a movement. You know, it's like electricity. And that can happen anywhere and on anyone. So hair is not a race, it's a fabric. And we are tailors.
It's so, and I'm so connected to your channel right here because
you're drinking wine.
Because I'm drinking wine, and because my entire collection this year is just simply called textures, and nobody can just. It's not a race; it's a texture, but you brought it home so well. I could see myself standing in a fabric store, just looking at all these beautiful silks and wools and all these incredible blends, and choosing what I want to do with it. So thank you for that. Let's talk. That was incredible. Let's talk now, Sheer Genius, because I watch it.
Are we still talking about that? It's so old, but I'll talk about it.
Maybe because I did hair for Project Runway All Stars, so I'm sort of a nerd on this stuff.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I know. So we know how the microphones work, and we know how the producers. Yeah. We know what's really going on. Yeah. So what was that? I mean, first of all, you were so much better than week 3. You know what I mean? Like you, excuse me.
They sent her home. And she's pretty amazing. But we can talk about that. Well, yeah, I told you I'm going to give you the unedited. My mentors told me.
Give it to me. Let's talk. Let's talk. Sheer Genius. Talk to me. Talk to me.
I was sent home not for performance, but because I would not read a script. I would not. What? I would not, I shouldn't say read a script. I wouldn't make a statement that made me feel as though they were trying to typecast me as some stereotypical angry Black woman. So that's that. So that's the end of that conversation. That's all we're going to go. Someone said, we want you to say X, Y, Z. And I said, well, what does that have to do with this situation? And they said, it feels like you don't want to be here anymore. And I said, yeah, I guess if that's how you interpret it, it had nothing to do with my talent. But
because the hair was on it. Yeah, I watched.
Well, I mean, my partner, I got kicked off on, I don't know what week it was. It's been a long time for me. I got kicked off on a team challenge, which is shady. And it's obvious if you watch the episode that my partner did not do his end of the team challenge. But I got sent home because it was convenient to kick me off on that episode based on my lack of cooperation for being what I consider to be a stereotypical version of whatever kind of.
I'm so glad you broke it. I'm so glad you broke it.
Here's the thing. I have no regrets about it. I love the experience. I have made wonderful lifelong friends, 2 of which, Janine Jarman, Matthew Morris. What an amazing, just because I was on only 3 weeks doesn't mean that was my only value on the show. You have to understand that I returned and I helped the winner win. And I just have lifelong friendships. When I go to NAHA to find out if I'm a winner or not, Janine Jarman will be sitting by my side. She's my best friend.
That's so cool.
It was an amazing experience. It helped build my public speaking experience. It helped me get used to being on camera because I was just an artist before that. And I want to tell Bravo, thank you so much. I think that probably all of those people right now, those producers that tried to make me something that I wasn't based on stereotypical African-American behavior in their mind, maybe George Floyd and the spill out of the world, maybe they're all searching themselves right now. I don't feel that I would be sued, and even if I was, I'm telling the truth, so sue me, so whatever. But I have to speak my truth, and I was really frustrated at the time, and no one could understand why I was so greatly offended. I went to my dear friend Matthew Morris, and I said, is anyone giving you a script? Is anyone telling you what to say? And he said, no, like, what are they telling you to say? And I'm not going to say it. And I gave him an example, and you know what he said to me? He said, I'm so sorry. He said, I'm doing a really good job at being stereotypically gay, so I'm fine. He was like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I don't need a script for this. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I'm giving them what they want because this is what I am. And but what they didn't understand is there's so many different types of umbrellas of brown women.
Layers.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't see the layers. They didn't see dry wit. They didn't see, you know, and reality TV, I learned, is not about talent. It's about sensationalism. It's about drama. Mm-hmm. It's about all the things. And that's all fine. And I'm happy with it. I have no regrets. I think if we look at my work compared to the person who won, we should Google the person who won, and then we should Google me. And then that'll answer all the questions about who should have got sent home. No shade.
And no shade. That's what I was saying.
No
so we
shade.
Will now let's have a drink and move on to the wins.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I want to say that I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. I really do.
And I appreciate that. And look, you and I will have a sidebar on this because people don't even know that everybody's mic'd. There are two producers, at least with Runway. I don't care what my contract, but like there are two producers who sit there and monitor you 24/7.
Yeah.
How do you get the dirt on people? You get the dirt because people are listening to your innermost thoughts as you're talking to other people and then turning it around, taking it to confessional and saying, so-and-so said this, go. Like they create drama. We're moving on. Yeah. So
okay, sounds good. I'm good at drama, don't get me wrong, but I'm not good at scripted drama. I'm good at my own, don't get in my way.
I'm good with you. So NAHA, you've been nominated many times. Congratulations on your Fashion Forward award. I was there. I remember it like it was yesterday. I do. You don't know how NAHA obsessed I am. There's a reason I'm here.
Okay.
And congratulations to that. So when did you decide to start competing in NAHA? Because there are a lot of people who might be on the fence. Should I do it? Should I enter my work and so forth? Why should someone enter NAHA? And tell us about your experience.
I'm always going to say, always enter. Whether you have the money, the talent, the credibility, the name, I just believe that life is better if you do something, then you don't have to wonder what if. You know, if you did it and you didn't win or whatever, that you just did it. And from those moments, we grow. So I'm a huge advocate of always just doing it. I had entered NAHA, I want to say approximately 3, maybe 4 times before I won. And I gave myself 5 years to win. And the year that I had the collection that won, I had a very specific vision. I always saved every year $5,000 to do a shoot. And I submitted to NAHA, and whether it won NAHA or not, I felt good about doing that. But I'm gonna say one of my friends that I called that's very, very successful. I called him and I said, listen, I got this amount of money. My partner / ex-husband at the time was saying, you know, you should not be wasting money doing this. And I said, I just feel like everything about me is calling me to do this thing, but I should pay my bills and I should do that. And he said to me, if I would have waited until everything was right, then I wouldn't be where I am right now. And that was Ted Gibson. He said, you just have to jump in. You can't have one foot in your dream and one foot out. You can't have one foot on a safe space and one foot on another planet. It doesn't work that way. You just have to take the leap. And I took the leap. And I'm so thankful. I will never forget that phone call because it was like, I've done it 3 times. I've never been nominated. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know. And he said, listen, nothing's ever going to be right. All of the stars are never going to align. He was like, if I had waited on that, the team might be living at my mama's house in Texas. But I moved to New York anyway. And so I did it. I did it, and I was nominated, and I won. And then from there, I continued to be nominated, because then once you get kind of that traction, you understand. You're also surrounded by the people that can give you the advice and the experience. And I am so grateful that I just jumped in. And I encourage every artist, just do it. As Nike says, just do it. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? You have everything to win and nothing to lose. And even if you spend your own money, which I did for every single shoot that I was nominated for, except with the exception of one. I have no regrets. It's been the greatest joy of my career. I would say if I had to talk about like levels of, I've won of a lot of awards, NAHA completely changed my life. Bravo did not. Bravo helped, but I really believe that NAHA was the defining moment in my career that gave me credibility. You know, it's like, she is an A-lister, she is an expert, she is an authority in this field. Whereas Bravo is like, you know, it's TV, it's being a household name, it's just different. And I'm so grateful. I think about all of the opportunities that came flooding in after NAHA, just from being in that space of just icons and legends. And so I'm completely biased, but I would say every hairdresser, whether you ever think you're going to win or not, just do it. And I love, there's a new thing right now. They're actually giving feedback, so the stylists can understand where they're, you know, if you're not nominated, they're actually doing feedback and saying, hey, this was great. You know, here's some feedback from judges. So
oh my God.
Jump in.
You know what? Thank you so much, because we get these questions all the time. By the way, the chats are blowing up with people like sending you love. Like they love everything you say. So we can't even keep up. There's so much love coming. And we thank you at NAHA as well for really, you know, being one of the superhumans that makes NAHA what it is. NAHA is not a statue. NAHA is not a name. NAHA is really a culture of the best of the best. Sorry, Siri's turning on and asking me what I want. NAHA is a culture of the best, and it starts with you and all you've done. And of course, we're so appreciative of that. So let's get to it. You are nominated this year. Excuse me.
I wish I could ban for this moment so I can.
Excuse me, we need the leaf blower. So
I mean, I'm pretty excited. I cried when I saw the actual live nominations and I watched through category by category. I actually didn't, you know, I'm going to be honest. The year that I was nominated for Fashion Forward, the year when I shot the shoot, the day that I shot the shoot, I took the day off the next year. I was like, I'm going to win this. That's how confident I was about that collection. But I was not confident that I was nominated, or I just was reduced to a ball of tears. Excuse me if I get emotional, I'm not a big crier, but this feels greater than any other moment in my life, because it's not about work that I've done on a person, it's work that I've done for people. And there is a power in that, and I would do it for nothing. So to be nominated and appreciated by my community, and to show the power that we have in our industry to change the world, it just makes me feel completely so honored. I didn't have this amount of humility with any of my other nominations or awards, because it was all on, this is what I can do. Look what I can do.
That image.
This is different. Yeah. This is look what we can do. You know? Yes. And so I feel so honored and so fortunate to be in that 5 of phenomenal salons that decided that they could use their hands for more than just physical transformation, but for transforming the world. There's power in that. And we all need to own that at this space and in this time. There's been no other time that hairdressers have been called to be more. And right now we have to be more.
I agree. And I mean, there's so much we need to unpack about this. And I want you to know that when we sat as a committee and said, what can we do to the category of like salon design, which there are some beautiful designs, but at the end of the day, they really sort of ended up with how much money did you spend and what designer could you afford. And we thought, how do we take this from that, which it's something. All of our winners were spectacular salons, and no discredit to them. But how do we turn that into CNN heroes? How do we take that and realize the humans within, the culture within? And to me, you and your salon, everyone at the SuiteSpot Salon and Spa, you epitomize exactly what we wanted to do with this. And I have so much that I want to cover, but I think we have to start. It's not what happened, it's what happens next. And we have to start with what happened. And the George Floyd unrest, the civil unrest. This was by no means a riot, but a civil unrest that started a movement, and this happened on your doorstep. Talk to us about that, Faatemah.
So my salon was quite literally in the epicenter of the unrest. I haven't done so funny because it's been quite a while that I've never kind of gotten in my car and charted the mileage, but I'm probably less than a mile than where he was killed. And I will never forget the moment. You know, there are certain moments that define, like certain things that happen where I'll never forget where I was when 9/11 happened. I'll never forget where I was when January 6th happened, the insurrection. And I will never forget the day, not of the social unrest following George Floyd, but the day that I saw the video of George Floyd's death. And it was hours after his death. I woke up, someone sent me something and said, "Can you believe this happened?" And I didn't know I was going to watch a man die. And I cried for that man as if he were my own child. Just and for those that have not watched, and with no political associations or whatever, just to watch a human being plead for their life in that way, and people pleading for him, it was just devastating to me. And so I will never forget that day. I was sitting, every morning I get up, I work out, I take a bath, I light candles, I pray, and then I watch my news. And I was just reduced to a ball of tears. And I went to work and it became this buzz. And very quickly, I knew it was this thing that was just, it had a movement just in the area and in the city because it happened here. The traction was so fast. And I will say this, when everything kind of imploded around us and around my business establishment, I understood what it meant. I understood what those voices were trying to say. I understood the frustration of African Americans with injustice and police brutality, and whether he was guilty or not, he still should have made it to a jail cell, and he still should be. He should have made it into his just day in court. I knew that people were tired, that they were frustrated, that they were hurt, and it was in that particular community, that particular precinct, that was burned down, was known for shady dealings, horrible responses in that community. That precinct was known for all the bad cops that had done horrible things. If you look into the history, if you follow the history of that with the news now, they were kind of shuffled off to that community, to that precinct, because no one cared about the poor people. And I feel, and the thing about Minneapolis is, even though that was less than a mile away from me, a mile away is light years away. We're a big city. And so it's like Uptown is this vibrant community. It's a whole different pulse. I had never had that kind of experience with the police. I grew up in the suburbs, but I understood the frustration, the sadness, the anger. And I basically felt that unrest was an uprising, and it was just the blood of and the frustration of African Americans saying, "We are done. We're done with this." And I try to stay really apolitical on all the things. And I'm going to say this: that moment completely redefined who I am. I will never be the same person. I will never be the same person because it opened my eyes to so many things that I've never experienced. It opened my eyes to so many injustices. It opened my eyes to so many gaps. And so I went from being a 5-star prestigious salon that was only worried about my clientele and luxury and whatever, to figuring out how this salon could serve the needs of that community. And so it wasn't, everything I've ever done has been strategic and marketing. And it was literally just my heart just said, you know, this is what we need to do for this community right now. And so we had already been closed 3 months. I was really looking forward to being open. The social unrest or uprising, whatever you want to call it, happened. And we couldn't open anyway. And when I looked at the destruction around the community, we had no gas stations. We had no, within a 20-mile radius, there was, every Target was gone. Every gas station was gone. And I believe some of these things were strategically happened, and that it was not the community. I mean, large amounts of accelerants were brought in. And I just don't think that's like people being mad, like with accelerants and backpacks. And I mean, how do you blow up a gas station and you're like an angry citizen? You don't. I think that it was really, really interesting about how strategic all of the things were for essential needs and living for this community. And so my first pivot was, we need to feed people. And that's what my salon did. We fed over 600 families. And then after that, it was like our businesses were lagging, plywood everywhere. And I did this beautification project. And it was just an effort to say, hey, we are still here. And it was also an effort to get people together, to heal together, to plant seeds of change. Because I realized that the government was moving really slow. We had no leadership in that moment. We had no clear direction in that moment. And what I wanted to do was to stand up as a mother, as a woman, as a citizen, as a person of color, and say, hey, you know what? Why do we need to wait on people to help each other out? And so I just started making phone calls. I called, greeneries. I called the city planner. And no one gave me any money for these projects. What I'm so proud about is over 100 volunteers showed up, and people drove from Wisconsin and all over the place. But it really was about just getting in together and rolling our sleeves up and reclaiming our neighborhood and saying, you know what? These are new beginnings planted by us, owned by us, and we are not going to be defined by our tragedy. And I really feel proud about that moment, because it really has become a triumphant new beginning for us. And so I'm super honored that I'd be nominated for anything, but I really didn't do it for any purpose outside of just trying to save my community. And it was twofold. It was people need to get together. They want to do something they don't know what to do. And then the businesses needed curbside appeal. And so I just took all the energy from all the people that said they wanted to help on Facebook, and we just did it. So it was beautiful.
We will not be but defined by our tragedy, I think is one of the most poignant things I've ever heard, that really encompasses exactly what you went through, what you were dealing with, and how I am so proud as a member of the committee that helped to create the Inspiring Award category. This is the first year. I have to thank you, Faatemah, for being exactly what we wanted, and to all of those of you who are watching. There are moments in time, there are situations in life where you go beyond the haircut, where you go beyond the glitz and glamour, and you get to the soul of your salon. And thank you for showing us that soul. So many things you've been involved with. Again, you mentioned the food bank. You mentioned, I think it's good for salon owners to know that you had, staff, mostly women, and you used funds to make sure that these mostly sometimes single women were able to make ends meet through the darkest of times.
I would say
please.
The landscaping project, the city said they had no money. I couldn't find anyone to donate any plants to us. I called every major nursery, which I thought was interesting because we know that when everything closed, that nurseries were open. And so I thought it was really interesting that they would not donate to the neighborhood. But that said, I spent my own money to make this happen. All those t-shirts that you saw that 100 volunteers wear, I paid for it. The plants and what the city did was they gave me resources, and they found a tribe that donated the soil. So the city put me in contact with people that helped me make it happen. But at the end of the day, I had to write out all the checks. And I think that that's what this kind of work calls for. It calls for leading into a space of your own, not just wanting to lead change, but what does that look like if no one funds it? What does it look like? And I felt that my community was worth it, that those people were worth it. And that I had had so much success in my life that if I never made another dollar, that if every dollar spent was built to rebuilding that, it was worth it. So I just want to say that I wrote checks out for a very long time, and on, surface wise, it looks great. And I thanked all these people, and people thought that it was funded. No, it was funded by me. It was, and that was a huge sacrifice after 3 months of being closed with COVID. All I wanted to do was open up. And as a small business, it was a tough decision. And I appreciate you understanding that space of not being defined by our tragedy. I think it's really important for us to just say that one more time for every hairdresser and every person right now sitting in their living room thinking that things couldn't get worse or things are too bad. I want you to understand that in these moments of tragedy, don't let those moments define your triumph. Find the little miracles and embrace those. And if that little miracle is you did a client and you made them feel great about themselves today, that's a little miracle. And so I think that we have so much power to define the world and to change people's lives and to transcend America in a way that we don't even know it. I know it. I want every hairdresser. One of the things that I was asked in being nominated was, how did your actions change the world and how does it change our community? And I want hairdressers to understand that we have power, that these two hands have more power than just physically transforming someone. We have the power to change the world just as one singular salon. You can do one action that creates a ripple effect, a multiplier effect of goodness, and we can make love go viral. And I hope in these moments that hairdressers, when they hear my story or when they hear the stories of the other 4 salons that were nominated, that we understand the sheer power we have to make love go viral.
I love this so much. Tiffany says, thank you for being so instrumental in making your community vibrant again. Again, so much love. People are getting chills literally from what you say. We don't have a ton of time, but I have to say, I have to throw out another Faatemah-ism. I think we can just trademark that.
Faatemah-ism. You know what? My publicist tried to trademark that 10 years ago. So she's going to be like, he stole my word. I'm sorry.
It's the thing. No, you make publicist call me. In our darkest moment.
She also said don't drink on live, but I'm doing it. So
we do it, and we'll do it together.
It was 2021, honey. We had a long year.
Mm-hmm. In our darkest moment, we have a choice to run or rise. I choose to rise. Oh, and that sounds like that's you. This is a Faatemah-ism. And I think that in a nutshell, and this came from years ago, before you knew this was this incredible catastrophe yet spark that, girl, here in LA, we were with you. Out in New York, they were with you. Down in Atlanta, they were with you.
I feel that, and yes.
I'm a gay man. We gave up our gay pride and said it's Black Lives Matter. We didn't march for gay pride. Yeah. We marched for Black Lives Matter. It was a spark, and you were there, and you chose to rise. Every year I hear that you give yourself a word of intention.
Yeah, I do.
What is your word of intention for 2021?
You know, my word of 2021 was abundance. And I thought, of course, when you hear the word abundance, you think it's going to manifest in money and fame and all the things. And what I learned was, I mean, the abundance that I had was the abundance that I got in my heart to fill in the community's cup. It's interesting because everything's been such a whirlwind and the word in 2019 was transcendence. I wanted to rise above all these things, but it's almost like you have to step back to rise, right? And so 2021, I have a very simple word, and that word is humility. I stopped trying to find words that suited myself, and it's finding the space and the humility in between every moment to have the greatest appreciation. Because I've had a great career, and I've had a great life. And I think that I've never taken the time to really embrace every moment. And what all of this tragedy has done has really made me stop and enjoy and appreciate the spaces in between. And all the spaces of greatness that we have. So life works like this. It's like this roller coaster. We have these super highs and we have these super lows. And those are the things we focus on. But there's all this space in between where we're actually living. And I've never embraced those moments. And I think it takes a certain kind of humility and space and pause to just appreciate the in-between. So I am just somewhere right now, living in the in-between, appreciating how those highs and lows have defined my life and my purpose and my attention. And I feel so aligned and so focused and so grateful. But if this is the end of my interview, I just wanted to leave everyone with one statement. So you got to let me know when we're done.
I'll give you one more question, and then I'll give you the final word. Because how could I not? You know, humility. I'm going to take it. I might copy your mantra for the year of your word of intention.
I think that we should all kind of take a. You know, everyone is so hyper. What's the word? Everyone is so tempered right now. No one is taking a pause to just be humble enough to say, maybe I don't know all the right things. Maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I should just listen in this moment. And I'm the worst offender of myself because I think I'm a really smart person, but then I'm biased, right?
You are.
And I mean, in finding that space of in between, I'm able to grow so much more. And, you know, what if we all just took a pause and just, you know, and then humility allows you the space to not be an authority. In those moments of humility, you get to be a student because you're humble enough to say, maybe I should have a seat instead of leading this class. And so that's where I'm at. And I'm okay with that.
I'm going to take the humility. We have a fun question that I have a feeling you will take from this year. We asked to all of our brilliant artists who are here.
Okay.
We ask you, we say, let's pretend. Putting on our possibility imagination glasses here. Let's pretend Crayola Crayons is creating a new campaign with incredible artists, and each of these artists gets to create a color, and they get to name it for Crayon. What is? Are
they really going to call me if I nail it?
I don't know. I mean, it's make believe. So.
Okay, so Crayola Crayons they have a campaign, and then what's my job?
Yeah. So your job is to create a new color and name it.
So my new color is, you know what the crayons don't have yet? Have you ever seen a blended crayon? Like I want one half one color and one half another color. Because when is life ever one color, right? You've got your blue days and you've got your yellow days, right? And then you got your in-between. So I want to create the first mixed crayon. And I want to name it Bold Her. But I want to call it Bolder. So you can call it Bolder, like, oh, this person is bolder. Or is it Bold Her? I mean, I just want people to figure out, and then we'll be creative about how we write the name on the crayon. but I want to call
It's
it
up
bolder.
there. It's up
So
there.
how I would spell it is BOLD and then capital HER. Bold her.
HER.
Boom. Anyone who knows
one of
me
the best.
Is it? Okay, good. And it's a split
really
crayon. And it's my it's one half of my favorite color and it's one half of the thing that I want the world to be. So the one half of the crayon would be green, because green is my favorite color because it represents growth and abundance and, just new beginnings and money. I love money.
Life. Yeah.
And we should not, and stylists, you guys, stop apologizing for loving it. We all love it. Don't try to act like you want to do stuff for free.
Don't play.
So green would be one half, and then the other half would be silver, because I think about silver linings and new beginnings and just the possibilities of the infinite possibilities of tomorrow. And so together, I would think that those two things would make like some sort of vivid line. And that would be wicked. That would be pretty cool. So bolder is my new, and at Crayola, if you guys are listening, you guys can call me. We'll talk about this color.
They need to call from all you artists. Yeah, all the artists have come up with such great ideas.
I love men, and I had several people say, you're always so focused on women, and you're always so focused on, what about men? I don't think that men have any problems with their identity in this world. I think everything about you is so comfortable. And everything about marketing makes you feel comfortable where you're at. No matter what kind of man you are, what age you are, whatever, everything is marketed to you. And so I stand unapologetically firm in this space of saying, yes, girl, you can be bold her. And I want women to be confident and inspired that in this space and in this pause in America, that we can create new beginnings, that we are the life that births the world. Like, no man can have a baby yet. If that happens, fine. But right now, all I know is all these babies are falling out of my womb. So, we create life. And I think that we continue life with our existence and with our ideas and with our energy. And so this crayon would represent the strength that embodies the women that have continued even in spite of all of the adversity that we face in every kind of space in life. So that's my crayon. That's my TED Talk.
Mock-up. We're going to need mock-up. Sherry, get us a mock-up on all these incredible crayons.
We got Fatimaisms. We got a new crayon. I'm so excited.
Fatima's, we got businesses going here.
We got stuff.
Fatima, you have been such an incredible guest. You are officially the first kickoff of many things, the first official interview of nominees, which is new for us, giving the nominees as much attention as possible. Thank you for mentioning the feedback. We feel very excited that we are cooperating more with all the entrants so everyone can grow together.
I appreciate it. I
also want to thank you for being our very first amongst nominated for this incredible Inspiring Salon category. I think if you don't think she qualifies to win, you have not been watching this show, because you are exactly what we wanted in this category. And I will leave it with this, Faatemah. I will give you the final word. You've said so many beautiful things today. What final thoughts can you leave us with?
I want to talk about the power of you, Michael, the power of me. And I think in these moments when we watch the world, I'm going to try not to get emotional. We're watching all of these things. We survived a pandemic. We survived social unrest. There's so many things that are so uncertain, and all of us are feeling like, what can I do in this moment? We can do so much in this moment. Everything that we do, one little thing every day can change the world. And so I want to leave everyone with this quote, and it's from an American author named John Maxwell. And it's: pessimists complain about the wind. Optimists expect it to change. The leader adjusts the sails. I think in these moments, we need to pause and adjust the sails and to make very intentional decisions about what we can do, not as this big group, not as looking at what are our leaders and legislators doing. What are you doing every day as a parent, as a salon owner, as an organization, as a manufacturer? I think that so many things are lost in looking for someone else to be responsible for change when we are responsible for change. So I'm leaving everyone with a call of action, and that is to tap into your own superpower. Find that energy, find that space, find that passion, and change the world. And that is what I leave you with.
There is no better way to end this show than the way you describe it. We have a choice to run or rise or adjust the sails, and you have chosen to rise and to sail. Thank you so much, Faatemah. Thank you to everybody who has been watching. This is what we mean by inspiring salon. Thank you so much to everyone. We are the Professional Beauty Association. This is NAHA. These are Creative Conversations. Remember, February 24th, Francesca Rivetti, who says hello. I was talking to her earlier, Faatemah.
Francesca.
She adores you.
I love her.
And she sends her love. Thank you so much for an incredibly inspiring session of Creative Conversations. I look forward to seeing you soon, Faatemah. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and your hair looks fabulous, and so do your teeth, and so do your glasses, and so do you. I like have a little crush.
Cue the wind. Cue the wind.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I'll sail with you.